Good morning, everybody, and welcome to day two of my Forex trading journey. And as you can see, just 5 minutes into my trading schedule already. And again, that trading schedule for me is going to be starting at about 5 a.m. my time. So we're about 5 minutes in, and we're going to do this for until about 10 o'clock a.m. my time. We could already see that we're already off to a great start so far. Now, the reason that I say that is because if we go ahead and we take a look right here, we already can see that we have a arrow right over here. Now, on day one of this journey, we had talked about how for a buy arrow, for a arrow that was pointing down, so the other direction, we were going to be looking for a sell trade. Now, for this particular arrow, we're going to go ahead and look for a buy trade. Now, as far as a buy trade is concerned, we are looking to make money when the price of an instrument, such as gold, we are wanting to make money when the price of gold goes up. So, again, it's a little bit more different. Sorry, not a little bit more different, but it is definitely different than a sell trade. It's because a sell, we want price to go down. Buy, we want price to go up. Now, as we move forward through our journey, you're going to notice that there are a few numbers down below right here, what's on my trade terminal. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We've got balance, we've got equity, we've got margin, we've got free margin, and we got margin level. Now, the things that we want to pay attention as we move forward day by day, step by step, and we're going to notice that this is going to be a bit more important as we move forward throughout the days. But what we really want to pay attention to is equity. We also want to pay attention to margin as well, as these are the two factors in terms of how much money that we're making. And not only that, but are we also going with the primary goal of making sure that we are preserving our capital? Because that is going to be very important as we move forward throughout our journey right here together. And so now that we've gone ahead and we've gone through this buy trade, now we're allowing the buy trade to play out. And if for whatever reason, right now we're just kind of eyeing the trade, and we'll have an idea of what we want to go ahead and do as this trade here develops. Now, just giving you a little bit of a pattern right here. So right around the 5 a.m. hour, which is about 7 a.m. Eastern time, 6 o'clock Central, and 4 o'clock Pacific. While I do look for the higher volumes of the market in terms of trading, I know that right around this hour right here, we're not necessarily going to see that there is any trade, or this will probably be the slowest hour in the market, at least for that and the last hour that I trade. So from about 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. Mountain, and also from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Mountain, that's normally the slow times of the market. And that's perfectly fine. We don't need to, make our money fast, slow, whatnot. All we're really doing is just making sure that we are on track, that we are ahead of the game. Now, while we go ahead and let this trade play out, there are a few other things that I would like to go over as well. We can see that, again, the reason why we're taking this particular trade right here is very much the uptrend that price is creating right here. And the way that we want to go ahead and take these trades, or the easiest way to do that, is to make sure that we have our panel right up here. Now, for anyone that's trading in the market, timing is very, very, very crucial. We don't want to necessarily waste a moment trading. We want to go ahead and allow as much time as we can to let the trade play out. So it's very important to have this particular menu right here. And what this is called is our one-click trading menu. Let me go ahead and type that in, one-click trading menu. Now, for the one-click trading menu, the idea for getting it onto your chart, there are a couple of ways to do it. I find the easiest way is for me to right-click on the chart itself. So let's do that. Uh, So we right-click on the chart, and as you can see, I've got one-click trading highlighted already. Oh, uh, okay, there we go. So we have got one-click trading highlighted already. I've got my mouse highlighted right here. Now, if I left-click on it, let's say, even though it's already active, we could see that that box has disappeared. And so in order to make it reappear, we would just need to go ahead and left-click on one-click trading again. Now, it's so important to have this up because for a lot of the time, these trades right here, while we have, not necessarily have to press the button right away, it is very inconvenient to just have the ability to click the buy, click the sell button, and make sure that we're able to do this at no time at all. So understanding that, what we want to go ahead and do is just make sure that we are indeed taking these trades at the fastest time possible. Now, also what we'll need to do to make sure that everything is moving forward in the right direction, I do want to left click on tools, left click on options, go over to trade, and also make sure that one click trading is turned on. And when you first get to this particular menu right here, you'll probably notice that one click trading is not turned on. You will have to check mark it. Then you'll get to a point where you'll have a disclaimer right here. And as you can see, that buy arrow that we had before, now that's turned into a buy text. So we could tell that our trade is definitely in the right direction so far. So again, we have our disclaimer right here. We do want to make sure that we are checking this box right here, just like that. Click OK, and boom, we've got our one-click trading turned on. Now, again, this is all important for making sure that we're able to execute on these trades as quickly as possible. And then as far as what I normally do right here, and again, trading to me is, I said this before on day one, but it is a lot like fishing. It's not necessarily we're looking for the big home runs, or we're not trying to catch a trout or fish or whatnot, very instantly. This is a journey. This is a sprint. I'm sorry, this is a marathon, not a sprint. So for us, what we're looking for is just allowing the trade to play out, and with the objective of preserving our equity, preserving our capital, and also make a little bit of money along the way as well. Now, as you can see, the trade is still open on my part. So we're about 10 minutes into the trade. And for me, The objective on each of these trades is I'm looking to make about 3% on each trade that I take. That's the objective for me. And so, I know that beforehand we saw that the trade was gathering about 1% of my account balance. But for me, my objective is about 3%. Now, as far as 3%, that's of course my objective. Is my objective going to be the same as yours? Not necessarily. You may have a bigger take profit goal in mind. You may have a shorter take profit goal in mind. But the idea is that you want to be consistent with that goal and very much stick to the conviction of what you're looking for in the market. Now, this trade, even though we are looking for it to be at 3%, that trade can sometimes lose for me. And as we talked about, it's not about winning, it's not about losing. It's understanding that the trade played out the way that the market wanted to go, and we move on to the next trade right here. So it's very important because a lot of newer traders, they want to get I know for me, when I was starting out, I was getting frustrated. It's like, why couldn't I get that trade to get to my goal? Or even at that point, I wasn't necessarily thinking about a goal. I was like, ooh, let's push the button to make money, which, in a very simplistic kind of way, that is the objective, right? We are looking for money. We are looking to make money out in this market, and we want to go ahead and do that through this type of trading because it's so accessible to everybody. Again, I'm starting this particular account. We saw the beginning of on day one. I'm starting this account with the $100, and with this particular journey, I hope to give inspiration in the sense that you don't need, 10,000, 1,000, $100,000 to make money. I don't believe that's necessary. No, what we're looking for in the grand scheme of things is for us to be able to be able to come into this market with a very low investment, or we don't want to necessarily put a heavy amount of capital up front. I don't believe that's necessary, and I've done that in the past before, and it all it does is it gives you a lot of stress to turn that capital into something. So with the 100, and also understanding that we're here for the long term, not the short term, it takes a lot of pressure off of you. And I think that is super important for a lot of us, is to understand we don't need to put so much pressure on ourselves to, hit a home run every time. Now, could we hit a home run as we move forward on this particular journey? Absolutely, we can. With trading, there's always the potential to hit a home run every now and then. But like in baseball, home runs are a sight to see. Of course, nowadays the those home runs are getting a little bit more prevalent than they used to be. But back when baseball started and all that, you weren't seeing so many home runs. And even growing up as a kid watching baseball, you didn't see so many home runs. It was about the base hits, and sometimes it was also about the strikeouts. And in akin to trading, a base hit for us is a 3% on a trade, or a base hit for us is, we preserved our capital for the day so that we can move on to the next day. A strikeout, we could be wrong on this particular trade, turns around on us, and we would have to adjust. And if that's the case, I'll cover exactly how we would go ahead and do that. But the most important thing is to understand that we're here for the long term. No need to put too much pressure on yourselves. And also with gold, I follow a very particular rule about gold that helps me when it comes to risk management. Now, risk management is a word that means, how am I going to make money in the market while protecting my money at the same time? I'm going to repeat that again. How am I going to make money in Forex trading? And I'll remind everybody that the Forex market is about a $6.6 trillion a day market. How am I going to make money in this market while protecting my capital? And risk management is the most important thing that you can do for your account. You could make you can make about 20, 30, 40, 50 trades. You might even click off of this particular video. I definitely don't want you to. Not just because, hey, I want you to view my videos, but I do want to offer a lot of perspective and a lot of education. I desire to make you a better trader than you already are, or if you're not even trading, just get excited and get involved in the market and be able to not only do that but succeed in the market. I'm not here to globe pat myself on the back, but being in this market for about 2 years, I know the potential. I know the vision. And I talked about my story on day one. I know what this market can do, but I also have to understand that while I do have these amazing visions about what I could do in the market, I have to understand that root point, the purpose of the purpose of what we're doing here is to make sure that my capital is protected. If we understand that, if we understand the game of risk management, then we're already miles and miles away from anyone else that's doing it. Anyone else, whether that's a institutional trader, whether that's whether that is a retail trader, whether that's whoever participates in the Forex market, we understand that we have a step ahead in the game because we know about the important principles of risk management. Now, you might be wondering, as we move through this journey together, as far as the candles are concerned, candles going up, candles going down, who is doing that? Is that us? It's not us retail traders. The guy with the with the $100 account is not moving this market. No. No, what's moving this market is the institutional investors out there. So let me put it to you like this. There's us, there are money managers, there are hedge fund managers, there are companies, and there are also banks playing into this game, playing into this Forex market game. And with that being said, a lot of the game is more so the simple concept of buying high and selling low. And again, there are multiple strategies, multiple things that are going on in the market right now where you're going to have winners and you're going to have losers. All different strategies, all different trading. Luckily, there's only two options we have to worry about here, and that is the aforementioned buy and sell that we talked about a little bit earlier. But those are our two options. However, there are multiple ways, multiple strategies to be able to make those buys or make those sells. And so you've got all these different people out in the market placing their trades, executing on their trades. And you've got really the banks a little bit of the hedge fund managers, definitely the financial firms that are really the ones, the players moving this market. And us retail traders are really trying to follow the ones that are going to make us the money. And the majority of the time, the ones that make us the money are we only what we have to do is just follow those particular traders. And again, we're not going to be 100% perfect all the time. That win yesterday was amazing, but I also know that at some point we are going to need to experience a loss somewhere. And we'll talk about how we can go ahead and we can go through that process together when we are able to do so. All right, everybody, as you can see, we've got our arrow transitioned from this particular candle right here. So now it's gone over to this candle. So depending on how this particular candle right here closes out, and now what I mean by closing out is these particular candles right here are on 5-minute time frames. And so the 5-minute time frame, what that means is that every candle represents a unit of time, which is in 5 minutes, and will tell us a story of where the candle started, which is where the price level started, and it will go up and down, up and down, up and down, and it will get us to our high price point for the 5 minutes of time. It'll also get us to our lowest point here as well. And right now we could see that that candle is still going through its course. It's got about 30 seconds left, and depending on where this candle lands in the next 30 seconds, that will go ahead and allow us to make a decision right here. So we're going to go ahead and let that play out right here. And again, I'm fully prepared for what is about to take place. Again, we just got to let the trade itself play out. In about 7 seconds, we should have a new candle that approaches us. Okay, so we got a new candle that popped up. I'm entering what's called a new buy trade. So that I go back to my cost average strategy that I had talked about on day one, which all I'm doing is now that I know that my trade's in a little bit of drawdown, the arrow itself has also moved in the to a new candle. That's my cue for me that I can go ahead and place a second buy trade. And again, we just let the trade play out. We we don't get frustrated if this trade goes in the opposite direction. We don't do that. We just allow this trade right here to do what it needs to do, and we would go ahead and execute. So here we go. We have our now next candle right here. This up arrow right here is now gone ahead and formed a new up arrow. So we go ahead and see what happens within the next 4 minutes here. And again, I've got my finger ready for that buy button, as long as that arrow is right there for me. And so there's no need to fear. And again, a lot of the time with these trades right here, when you first get started trading, instead of the green that we saw beforehand, we are indeed going to see a lot of red out in the market. And that's absolutely okay. Because with trades, you're always going to, or if not always, then at least 90-95% of the time, you are always going to start in drawdown. And drawdown is a fancy term for a trade not necessarily going your way. So, in the grand scheme of things, to put it in more layman's terms, a buy trade going down in price, a sell trade going up in price. Those two events right there would cause your equity which again is right down below right here, to go in the opposite direction, and thus you are in drawdown. Now, drawdown is ultimately unavoidable. It does happen. However, what we can do on our side is to ensure again that the objective that we have in place is to protect the working capital that we have. So as we can see, we're going down just a little bit, but again, I'm not too worried. We're just allowing this trade to play out the way that it is meant to. And if there are any changes that we need to go ahead and make, we will ultimately do so, and we will cover exactly how those changes are made or how I do it on my own account. And of course, feel free to follow. So again, we have a little bit of a spike down in price. We can see that our drawdown is just a little bit down for us. Now again, we're here protecting our capital. We're doing everything that we can to make sure that it's in good working order. And there are wins and losses in trading. So all we need to do is just allow the trade to play out, see where it wants to go, and we'll move forward right there. Now, because this arrow right here, so the reason I'm not panicking, the reason I'm not closing my trades is because if this arrow right here is still in an upward direction, if it's telling me, okay, this is a buy arrow, then to me, there's no need right now to do what I need to do in order to adjust my target or adjust my prediction that we're still in a upward market, that we're still in a place of power to look for buy trades at this particular moment. Now, this can change. It could change at any point. I would get an indication that has changed, and I would definitely adjust from there. But at least what I can do is to make sure that we are moving forward in the right direction. No matter what happens, we're always moving forward in the right direction. I always like to say we don't lose a trade, we learn. And throughout what we're doing, and I'm going to click another buy trade right there, because again, the candle closed, the arrow moved, but we're still in a buyer's market right now. And these moves don't necessarily scare me at this moment. We're just continuing to allow the trade itself to play out. Now, what's very important is this number right here. I've talked about it before, margin. Now, margin is a fancy word for how much of your money right now, based on your equity, is being used to come into these trades right here. So as we can see, while our equity is about $100 something, our margin is about $10.21. So we've got about $10.21 of this equity being played out in the market right now. And we have our free margin right here. Let me clear this up a little bit. We have our free margin right here. And what this determines is specifically how much is left for you to play out these trades, play out these moves. And the margin level right here gauges how much of a percentage is that based on your working equity. Now, for me, the more important numbers right here are these three right here. No, it is important for me to track these three numbers down. While balance in the grand scheme of things is great to look at when we have an opportunity to do so, balance to us is not necessarily a driving factor behind my trades, because I know the most important thing is to make sure that no matter what this is, that this is being protected, or at least we're moving forward, or we're moving a little bit in the negative direction, because that does happen, but we're moving forward in a way that, we can still work a trade either today or work or trade any other day. We're always we're always making sure that we have enough energy, enough equity to fight for the next trade, no matter what. So right now we can definitely see that our first trade is in profit, but we still have a couple of trades that are in drawdown, and that's the idea behind the cost average strategy. Is let's say that I can only get my first trade, which is in some drawdown right now. Let's say that I can get my first trade into profit, or I'm sorry, at least get into break even. Well, what will happen to us is the second trade and the third trade that I've executed at a lower price point, where the first trade was in that little bit of drawdown. This strategy allows me to allow myself to make more profit without putting the pressure on the first trade to go all the way to 3% if I have to, because I've got these other trades that are in profit for me. Now, there's multiple ways to do cost averaging. I would say for me, mine is on the more riskier side, because I know that, the way that I was taught was, let's say I had about $100. I can really only do a one trade at 0.1 at a time. Now, again, I know a part of this is also based on experience. That's probably the most mitigating factor right here. However, the idea, let's say once we get to 200, when we get to 200, and of course that will come when the journey dictates that we get to that point. But with the $200 account, let's say. So first I want to talk about my golden. You know what? Before we even talk about cost average, let me go ahead and repeat my own golden rule for everybody on gold. No pun intended. For every, I'm checking my my counter right here just to make sure I look at that too. For every 100 in my account, I adjust my lot size by 0.01. Now, what that means is, because we're at $100 right now, my lot size. Oh, hold on. Let me get these guys. Let me get these guys. Okay. We just made about 3% on that trade right there. Let's go. But anyway, I want to finish my point here. For every $100 in my account, I adjust my lot size by 0.01. And what that means to us is, for $100 right now, my lot size is going to be at that 0.01 number. And that is a fixed number. As we get to the, $200, that lot size will go to 0.02, 300, 0.03, and so on and so forth. Now, if you're doing the cost average strategy, you can, with $200, leave your lot size at 0.01, take your first trade, and if you notice that your first buy trade or first sell trade, whatever direction you decide to get into the trade, if that first position is in drawdown or not going your way, you can have a second trade of that same lot size and be able to make up the difference. Now, for those that were paying attention to day one and day two, you would have noticed that I didn't necessarily do that, but instead I went ahead and I did it all at the same lot size, which you can do. It's a little bit riskier. There are, everything does come with benefits and drawbacks. There's no perfect 100% strategy. And by the way, I was fully anticipating, not anticipating, that's the wrong word, but I was fully, especially because of the way this drawdown was appearing, I was prepared, or I had a plan in place if the drawdown and the arrow got to a point where we would have to adjust the move. See, all this, this Forex to me is chess in a way. You always want to make sure you have your moves, your backup plan, in case things decide to take another course, if you will. And let me put that again in layman's terms. So let's say there would have been a point in this trade where if price got all the way down, and I mean to a point where because these arrows right here can disappear. So if this arrow right here, this buy arrow disappeared on us, then I would have been in a position where I would need to go ahead and I would have needed to make sure that I'm not in a buy trade anymore. Now, the way I do that is to make sure we had saw the margin number, and there'll definitely be another visual overlay when we get to a point, because I know we will get to a point. All right, this is not 100% win rate right here. That's virtually. I'm not going to say it's virtually impossible, because I'm sure there's I envision that I inspire whoever's watching these videos a forex genius that is able to go 100%, and then we'll talk about how we trade together. But coming back to present reality, I know that there's not 100% bulletproof strategy out there, and I know the way I trade. I'm very confident in the way I trade. And that's another thing we have to talk about as a trader, which is indeed to protect our confidence. All right, everybody, we are coming back to the charts right here. As we can see, we just saw that that buy arrow pop up. So we are going to go ahead and we are going to take a buy trade right here. Now, as you can see, it's about 9:20. And the one thing about the time from the last part of the recording to now, or the last part of when I did my stream to now, is that there weren't necessarily any opportunities on the market, and we waited. And that's perfectly fine. You're not going to get an opportunity every time, or not every moment of this particular schedule. There are going to be particular alerts that will be available to you, and all we're doing, or all I'm doing, is I'm executing when they are indeed ready. So right now we're in this buy trade right here, and mind you, I've got about 39 minutes until the market is, or when I am done with my own particular trading. And so until that particular point, I am still in the market. I am still in the go, and we are going to wait for our trading opportunity. And I've got two goals in mind. Now, I do want to go ahead and talk about, when we get to that particular point, but there are two goals in mind that I have whenever there is a trade that is in my field of view. As we saw a little bit before, I'm either going to get into a trade with the intended goal of getting a 3% win on that trade, or I will, at some point, we'll get to the end of our session right here, and we will go ahead and we would go into that particular trade, either closing it for whichever profit we get on it, or there might be something else that we'll do, which I'll explain later. So we're in a little bit of drawdown right here, as we can see. And that's, again, absolutely perfect. No worries are needed as we move forward right here. We are going to allow this particular trade to keep on going. And again, I'm not here to just talk about, winning every trade or anything like that. On this journey, one thing that I always tell myself to do is, or one of the things I promised myself when I decided to do this particular journey and share it, is to go through every trade, go through every win, go through every loss, and everything in between. I'm not holding back. You will see every trade that I take on the camera. And I think that's only fair as someone who wants to coach and educate and open the world of Forex trading to everybody. We should be able to be transparent with what we're doing, and whether that ends up a victory or not, that's something I feel that is very important for the world to see. And so with that being said, we're allowing this particular trade to play out. Now, because the arrow, as we can see, the arrow was right over here at one point. Now the arrow has come down over here. I am going to prepare myself to get into a cost average trade if the situation arises. So we're waiting for that particular that 5-minute candle to close. It's going to close in about the next minute, and then we're going to go from there. So we're waiting on that. As far as everything else that's concerned, I know we're going to be moving forward, and my plan is not to just trade gold on a live account, right? I do believe that gold is the main way that I am going to, or not, not I believe, but gold is the way that I will be starting to make the Forex profits trading on this particular currency. Now, as you can see, if I just, while we wait for that candle to close, we can see that there are many, 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 many symbols that you can find on this MetaTrader 4 platform right here that I can use the same strategy on. Now, pairs always move differently, so there's going to be different strategies for different pairs, and as we go along this journey together, we will go ahead and I'm sure in the coming days, weeks, months, years to come, we will go over all of these particular strategies together, just you and I. Now we have our next candle closed. So let's make a buy right there. All right. And then we go ahead and we let now this trade play out. And that's all we're going to do. We're just going to go ahead and do it just like that. There is no reason for us to change the direction of where we're going, especially if we're heading in this buy direction right here. Okay. So again, just kind of coming back to the symbols that we have right here, we can see that there are many, 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 many symbols that we can use. And all these are going to have different strategies. And this isn't even all the symbols, mind you. If I left click on view and I left click on symbols, you can see that there are so many symbols that we can use. And mind you, this is just one particular broker. One particular Forex broker that I use. Now, there are others that I plan on covering as we move forward throughout this project together. I won't say the names of those brokers just because I feel that we need to go into them first before we need to dive into that rabbit hole. But do know there are many, many pairs that I use on this broker here, Hugo's Way. And we will go ahead and we will cover all these pairs step by step, all these symbols that we could trade on step by step. But for right now, all we need to do, and I'm a big fan of Dean Graziosi, I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins, and the reason I bring these two gentlemen up, specifically Dean Graziosi, is because we want to make sure we are moving forward as a culture of progress together. All we need to do is ask ourselves this question. And this is going to be very important for each and every one of us that goes on this trading journey together. Are you better than yesterday? Are you better than last week? And there are several ways that we're going to answer this question together, both you and I. However, if you can answer that question yes, you've already won the day. You've already have won today's day by being a better person, better version of yourself than you were yesterday. And that, my friends, is growth. That is the best way to answer that question right there is, did you grow? Did we grow financially? Most of the time, the answer will be yes. And there will be days where we may have to answer that question no, but that's okay. Did we grow skill-wise, experience-wise? I believe that 100% of the time, the answer is going to be yes. Are we growing psychologically wise, physically wise? Again, all those questions right there, I envision will say yes to a lot of the time. So sometimes we do have to step down and come back to, not necessarily down to earth, mind you, but we're going to take some steps back on this journey. And that's okay. I fully anticipate that not everything is going to go the way that we want to, but that is what life is all about. we learn, we grow, and we move forward in a direction as far as making sure that we need to do everything in our power to make sure we can become that best version that we want to be. As we can see right here, we've got the next candle right here that I'm staring at. That candle's about to close in the next minute. And the objective, once that candle closes, is I'm going to place another buy trade. I'm going to cost average because there is nothing telling me right now that we are looking for anything else. Now, you might be wondering as we wait for this candle to close, how come the arrows are popping up right now? And it's because, let me go ahead and get our horizontal line tool right here. I like this tool because it allows me to draw, just a quick support and resistance line, things that we'll go over in a later time. But as you can see, this price point right here, this price point was being tested throughout the last, and I'll count the candles right here. And again, for making sure that candle closes about 23 seconds, we got to pay attention. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, almost 55 minutes. And so whenever we see something like that, and this candle right here was the one that broke that support that was being developed over the past 55 minutes. At some point in time, let's first click that buy. There we go. At some point in time, we are going to go ahead and we would, as this candle did, break that support line. And knowing that the general direction so far has been a uptrend, or prices are continuing to move in an upward direction, now we see that price has gotten to this point. We're going to be looking to get into a buy until we see proof that that particular trend has been broken. Now, we had this next candle right here that broke this mini support, so we placed a buy trade right there. And then this next candle did the same thing. And so because of that, we would go ahead and we would take those particular buy trades. Okay, we got to 3%. Let me close these down now. Okay. So, I mean, that's the thing right there. As long as we know that we're in an uptrend, and as long as we know that for each candle that we take, there's a higher percent chance. It's not going to be 100%. Again, I know we're going to get to that loss point. I know we are. I know I haven't been able to see anything as of yet that would that would prove that point. But I know better than I know that that particular point is coming. So what I want to do, because I don't want this to be treated like this is this is super easy. It's simple the way that we're talking about it, but it's not easy. And my goal, knowing that I've been doing this for about 2 years, almost 2 years, in fact, my 2 year anniversary comes up on November 1st. November 1st of 2020 is when I started this journey. And I know that, this looked great, what we've been doing so far, but I know that in a realistic sense, that there are going to be times where we're going to take a small losses here and there on this journey together, and that's perfectly okay. And so, while I'm glad that this particular first 2 days, because of course, the market's not over. We got about 28 minutes. Maybe another trade comes in, but the matter of the point is that I know these first 2 days have been absolutely amazing in terms of account growth, but I also do know that realistically speaking, we are going to get to that point together, you and I, where we're going to need to deal with that loss. And so while I don't like to, put it out to the universe like, hey, I want to lose a trade, like I don't want to do that. That's not what this is about. But I have to show everybody the mindset that I have had to learn myself, and the lessons I had to learn myself. And I also want to pass down the coaching that I have been granted. I've been very blessed with a lot of great traders, a lot of great relationships where I was the student to the teachers. And I need to put myself in that mindset each and every time that there's going to be something new to learn. There's going to be something new to teach. I have, having that balance between being a student and having the ability to openly learn something new every day. And with the mindset then of transitioning to a teacher or, master's a pretty broad term, but being able to convey that information out to you, that's the master role in a sense. That's what's important to me, is being able to balance those two states together in order for it to fully conform into something very much beautiful. And that's what we're doing today. That's what we did yesterday. And that's what we're going to continue to do on this particular journey together. And I cannot be any more grateful, favored by the universe that I've been chosen to do that. I've been chosen to have the relationships that I have had, still have, and will continue to have and grow. And so we will be moving forward on this journey day by day, step by step. And whenever that, and of course, all journeys end at some point. We all get to a destination at some point, but I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about just enjoying the ride together with everybody here. I couldn't be any more blessed and favored. Now, I do want everyone to be open to doing this. I think this is one of the first things I've done in order to help me develop a mindset where I can even talk about all these concepts, and that's journaling. Now, the reason I talk about journaling is because there were days where I didn't even feel like touching the computer. There were days where I didn't feel like waking up. I felt like, what's the point kind of deal, right? And I was going through my own, I'm still going through my own ish, to for lack of a better word. Still, we're still going through our own issues. Everyone is, very much myself. I'm still going through a lot of ish right now. Not that we need to disclose or get into it, but I am. And I know that in that, if I'm thinking about just those things that are going, wrong's not the correct term, but if I think of the things that are not so awesome, then my mindset is going to be absolutely detrimental. I wouldn't be able to go ahead and do this if I thought, hey, look, let's think about all the things that are wrong in my life. No, and that used to be something that controlled me. I'm like, yeah, I can, let's go on the trading. Oh yeah, I have to think about this thing. Oh, what about this thing? Oh, what about this thing? Oh, look at this and that and that. It's like, no, 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 no. And that was awful for me because I couldn't focus and I couldn't do the things that I know I was capable and desiring to do to become the best version of myself each and every day. So to get out of that aspect, and I remember there was one particular video, and if this person ever watches my videos, I'm not gonna be arrogant and say that she is, but if she ever does, first I want to thank you. This goes out to a fantastic YouTuber, Starseed1111. But more to the point, there was a post that she made on her, I guess in YouTube it's called a community chat, and this was back about a year ago, July of 2021. And there is this particular individual, I believe he's still doing absolutely amazing, Jake Ducey. And Jake Ducey showed me the power of scripting. Now, the importance of scripting is it allows you to write down what you want. So don't use the computer. I never have used the computer to do this. It is all done with a pencil. I like the mechanical pencil. I've always loved the mechanical pencil. And I have used, and I have countless notebooks. Countless notebooks. I've got maybe I've done this particular journaling for, yeah, I would, going back to July of 2021. And there are days that I've missed. I'm not 100% perfect, nor is this designed where you need to be perfect. There are days that you can't do it, accept that you can't do it those days, and move on and concentrate on getting it done the next opportunity that you can. And so within these journals, I wrote down exactly what I desired in life. And so I thought about I do two journals. And that's what I started off with, two journals. And the journals were because I am still at a point in my life where I'm single, and I really wanted to recognize the fact that, hey, what was I wanting in a relationship? What am I wanting within a partner? And then I wrote down specifically what I wanted for in my own life. What were some of the qualities that I wanted? Now, above before I even wrote down what I wanted in life, there was a particular quote that I wrote down. Again, I got this from Jake Ducey, and this particular quote was I have to go ahead because I've not written that down, that quote, and I'll explain why. But I've not found that quote in a little while. I don't really hope I don't have to get one of my notebooks from somewhere else, but let me try to let me see here. Okay, so I found my journal. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna speak to what I did when I was starting doing my journaling. And the first thing that I did was I put down first my mantra. And that mantra was every cell of my body vibrates in perfect harmony with the well-being and success of the universe. I am a magnet to every single thing that I want, and everything that I do comes to me now. I attract miracles in every single thing that I do, and everything works out perfectly for me today. Amen. And I did that for a while. And then I wrote down what I wanted in life. So I put down that I'm grateful. Now, mind you, when you're writing out your journal and you're doing the I am, and then we'll get to this, but when we're writing it out, we want to construct everything as it's happening now. It's not happening in the past. It's not happening in the future. It is happening right now. We want to treat our journals like we are in present time consciousness. That's something I learned from the great Dr. Luis Ariaza. And as we move forward, I do hope I have the ability to speak with him here on these journey days, if you will. I don't know if I want to call it a podcast yet, or just call it like my video log or what or whatever. But I know that more to the point, I do hope to get him on here at some point. And so what I learned from him, present time consciousness, is the fact that, or well, what I guess before that, because I didn't meet him. Anyway, not the point. The idea was that I was writing in the now, like it was happening right now, because your brain, your mind, doesn't know the difference between reality and fiction. It doesn't know the difference between past, present, and future. It can only look at or sense or do or think and feel whatever you tell it to think or feel. We don't want to let the mind control us. We want to control the mind. And so, more to the point, as I'm writing these things down, and mind you, these haven't happened yet, right? It's not happened in the present time here. This is what's happening. However, my mindset is it's happened. It's happened. It's already been done. And now I work towards it. So let's write, let me share some, and potentially this might also help you as well. So I say, I am so grateful now. And it's so important that you say that. I am so grateful now. What you're doing as you're journaling and you're saying, I am so grateful now. Now, I have my own spiritual practices. There's absolutely no way that I'm going to force that upon anybody. That's not my thing. If you believe in God, if you believe in Allah, And I want to be very respectful. I want to be very tolerant of what I say. If you have a particular religion, Abraham, if Christianity, Judaism, Islam, uh, Christianity, all those denominations, and then all the other denominations, or if you're just spiritually inclined to believe in, for me, I believe in, I'm a Roman Catholic combined with astrology, numerology, and an overall spiritual belief of the universe. Again, this is not important in the grand scheme of things. Okay, let me rephrase that. Religion is important to everyone, of course. And, even if you don't believe in a higher power, it's still important that you have a inner faith in something. You have an inner faith in something. And so what we're doing while we're journaling is we're being grateful to that inner faith that we have in something. Again, it could be anything. This isn't the place to talk about, all that stuff, right? So let's get back to the journaling. So the idea is we say that I am so grateful now, because again, we want to make this the present. And so I would say the things that I desired. So I am so grateful now that I'm a world-changing emperor. I am so grateful now that I'm a 10, 11, 12 counting figure earner. I am so grateful now that I'm the creator of a global network. I am so grateful now that I'm a master investor. I am so grateful now that I am the foundation of a Fortune 500 company. And it goes on and on and on and on until I am done with the page, done with the notebook page. And so at that point, I would go ahead and I would write down the same thing. Well, not necessarily the same things. I don't copy and paste the page, but I go to the next page. I turn the page in my journal each and every day. So every day I turn the page in my journal as if it's a new day, a new chapter is being built, and I write down what I am so grateful now for. And most of the time it's the same thing, but I never look at the page at the past and just like, let me copy some of this down. No, it just comes straight from the mind. It comes straight from the heart that I'm writing this down. And the reason I share this is because for me, in order for me to be in a state of mind where I can look at trades, I can talk, and I can really portray all the things that I want, not only for myself, but for everyone here, is the fact I need to do this in order to get into the right mindset. If I stop doing it, then I do think about all the other things that are going wrong. And frankly, I have two choices. I could think about what's going wrong and I could think about what's going right. Also learned that from Tony Robbins. And I desire to think of the things that are going right because I know that there's more to come from that side of things than the other side of things. And so as you're watching the end of this particular day in my journey, I want you to go ahead and think about and do this for me. This is an action step I want you to consider taking. Grab yourself a journal. It could be a notebook journal like I use, the loose, the little things that you used to do for school, the notebooks. Could be a journal or a journal notebook. It could be any notebook. It can be a loose leaf sheet of paper. I used to do that, just a loose leaf sheet of paper, and write down a mantra for yourself. It could be one that you could copy the one that I've used, or you could even use this one that I've learned from my Forex mentor, my good friend Sal Leto. Stop for a moment. I'm doing a great job. Be patient with myself. I am at the right place at the right time. Remember, big things are not achieved all at once, but one day at a time. Focus on my priorities. I am a big boss and I make big boss moves. So you can either copy that or you can copy the one that I said previously on this recording if you want to rewind it and go back. And then from there, write down what you are grateful for now. Again, what we mean by that is what do we presently desire, and write it down. And keep going until you finish the notebook page. That's what I want everyone who's listening to this recording, start doing that. Start journaling. And
I'm very confident that you're going to see a subtle shift in your mind. And know that that subtle shift is only going to make you better as we go through this Forex trading journey together. And again, we're going to stay here for the next 10 minutes. There's not necessarily, I don't believe that I'm going to be getting a trade here. Not with the way that the market is necessarily moving right now. Even after this candle right here, as it's starting to close, because it's 9:55, I normally go ahead and I just let that last candle just go. I still look at it and say, oh, okay, this is how it's going. But normally I finish my trading after this particular candle right here. So if there is not a thing that we can go ahead and trade on, then that'll be about it for the day. And again, we answered this question now. Did we do better than how we did yesterday? And I'm looking at my account balance, and I'm looking at or remembering where we started in this recording, and I can confidently say yes, we are better today than we were yesterday. And at that question alone we answered yes, then that's awesome. Because on this channel, we are going to be a culture of progress. We're not going to worry about the big elephants in the room. We're not going to try and handle that all at once because we don't want to get overwhelmed. What we want to do is we want to tackle things piece by piece. I remember that elephant riddle, by the way. Another good friend of mine, Cletus Crumbly, she was the one who taught me that riddle. And that's really stuck with me ever since. And I want to pass some of that wisdom over to everybody here. It's amazing what life can do for you. Other than that, I feel we're confident enough to let this candle go by. I do believe that will be the ending part of day 2 of the journey. And of course, we'll be doing this again on our next day, everybody. Happy trading, and thank you.